Hello everybody, Eric back again. This is a real milestone for me. This will be my second video in a week, which is pretty amazing considering usually I do one video every couple of months. So I'm trying to keep up content once every 2 weeks, but this week had a little bit of excitement. There was a pretty good snowstorm that came out, so I wanted to take some footage and then practice with my skills on video editing. I use, by the way, I use Corel Video Studio version X8. They are up to X10 now, maybe even more than that at this point. But I mean, X8 has everything I really need, and I don't want to spend $80 for features that I don't really use. But then it's pretty true that you only know about features when you buy a program and you find out, oh wow, I've got these really neat features. But I still have a lot of features on X8 that I still have yet to master. And one of the things that I practiced in this video is just accumulating B-roll footage. That's one of the things that I really struggle with. Everybody on YouTube always talks about the importance of generating as much content as possible, recording as much B-roll that you can then clip in and cut in when you're actually doing commentary on your A-roll. My face here is A-roll, and then cutting into B-roll. And that's one thing that I've been trying to practice more of. And then that's a skill too when I do more narrative subjects later on. And again, like I kind of mentioned before, this is a skill I really want to get good at before I go into my clinical part of my master's, because I want to somehow use social media and how it can help nurses. I'm a registered nurse, cardiac telemetry registered nurse, and how social media can make nursing more efficient, more time efficient, particularly how to do things like employee education using social media, or at least recorded media, so that we're not having to have real-time meetings. I hate real-time meetings. Even when I was a leader, I just really hated having them. I can say in 20 years of being a nurse, I think I may have participated in maybe 1 or 2 real-time meetings that had to occur in real time. And usually those meetings were 1-on-1 or maybe 2 or 3-on-1. And so, a very small thing. When you get like a room full of 20 people, 15 to 20, 25 people, I mean, then it's just basically a unilateral kind of, your leader basically with an Excel sheet shooting up on the wall. And at that point, it really becomes just really slow shit email, right? And so I'm trying to gather my skills if I can, either as a leader myself, although I'm going to tell you something, I have not really wanted to go back into leadership. It's not something that I'm ready to do now. I've been a leader for so long. Not being a leader now has really improved the quality of my nursing life. I know it's kind of hard to imagine. How will I explain that? I mean, before, when I was a nurse leader, I was really in tune to people's time and attendance, pay cards, pay stubs, generating attendance records, also making sure that people are compliant with our policies and rules and regulations, and if anybody got behind in their education, or if they got behind on all these different things, and I would get after them. Attendance, I would get after them. So it seemed really like my life as a leader, even though it was incredibly rewarding, and I still miss it now. Many of you who are watching me were my nurses when I was a leader, and I do miss it. I miss being a leader. I miss having the important and high impact as a leader, but I still have that even now. Even though I am quote-unquote a newbie, I'm an old newbie. I'm an old bee. Right? Because, I mean, I have had 20 years of experience. Most of my colleagues, again, are in their first 1, 2, or 3 years of practice, and some of them are being charged. Now, I did charge after 2 years of practice, and so, I know that it is possible, but my first few years of leadership were pretty shitty. Right? I mean, just learning as I go, temper tantrums, blah, 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 passive aggression, that whole thing. And it really took me quite a while. I would say 8 or 9 years of leadership experience before I really gained full-on my leadership qualities of really being a mentor, really adopting servant leadership, not just as a buzzword, but really living it. A lot of nurse leaders, they really harp on servant leadership. They're like, be a servant leader, servant leader. Servant leader is hard. Right? Because and one thing the literature is showing is that servant leadership can go against other forms of leadership, like transformative leadership. That's the best kind, or the kind we're trying to shift away from, authoritative leadership. Generally, when I'm a servant leader and my supervisor or the person that I report to is not a servant leader, and they normally are not, when they get to be either transformative leaders or, worst case scenario, authoritative leaders, they being a servant leader pissed them off. Right? Because I'm going to worry about how people are feeling, what is their perception of any changes that we're going through, what is their emotional state in dealing with challenges that we face, and all of these things make servant leaders much less speedy and timely. Right? So an awful lot of times authoritative leader figures will want something to happen and want it to be folded out in 24 hours. Whereas servant leaders, you do kind of roll it out, you do draw a line in the sand, but people are not going to make it over that line. Right, and you've got to be there as a leader to really encourage them, foster them as a mentor, provide support in the form that they can recognize the support and utilize the support. Right, threatening somebody, threatening an employee, and I believe it was called pheasant posturing back in my teaching days, saying, if you don't do this, then this is what's going to happen. If you don't comply with the rules, you are going to get written up. 3 write-ups and you're going to get termed. Right, so that kind of leadership, even though that could be effective in getting 100% compliance, that's not servant leadership. That took me 8 or 9 years to really not just develop the skill, but to own the skill, really be good at the skill. So I kind of want to know, the reason why I went into all that is the fact that now that I can step away from leadership, basically I'm just doing 12-hour shifts where I'm a real-time nurse, which is really fabulous. Tori, I am really good now at changing colostomy bags. That was a big issue for me. I ended up wearing more stool than I emptied out of the bag, usually. So now I'm pretty good and smooth at that. My wound care is getting better. Charge nurses don't often have to do really massive wound care unless a wound vac fails, So, I mean, now, I'm able to approach these challenges that as a leader, I really either didn't have the challenge or I was just basically an emergency stopgap. I could go in there and either do an emergency stopgap sort of fix, or as a leader, I would find somebody in the building who could fix it for us. That was my leadership role. But now I can really concentrate more on growing out and concentrating on what professional skills, attributes can I bring to the table, and really the one thing that I really want to concentrate in is the use of social media so that we can make nursing lives a little bit more efficient. But on to the topic of today's video. I didn't mean to go into all that. I'll probably edit some of that out. But I wanted to talk about the snowstorm, and so I'm going to cut into some video of the snowstorm. I decided to get, this was the morning after the snowstorm. So it snowed all night long, or rather all day long, and I'm about to leave for work. So this is about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm going down our stairwell. We have 2 stairwells. They're kind of dark and, kind of scary looking, to be quite honest. Kitties! Behave. Right? And so now I'm going out my back door. This is my back entry into, I live in a duplex. We live on the upper floor. We have neighbors downstairs. That's my neighbor's car. You're about to see a green car, green Kia Soul. That's our car. That's covered in snow. And if you can see, the snow is still coming down. This is like at 3:30, 4:30 in the afternoon. I'm going in at 7 p.m. That's my neighbor, my back door neighbor. I forgot his name. I really should know his name. Kitty cats! That's enough. That's enough. Okay, so he's snow blowing, he's doing his job. We paid a guy, every house on this block chipped in, I want to say $20 per household, or rather per housing unit, so that some guy would come along and bulldoze out this alleyway whenever it hit 3 inches. So this is just me walking up and down the alleyway, and I just determined during this walk that there was just no freaking way that I was going to be able to get my Kia out of this long-ass alleyway. That's one thing about our house. Our house is in the center of this of the block, and so, it's equidistant from both ends, where we're totally fucked as far as, being able to drive out either north or south. It's the same amount of distance. And then this is me calling it a day, going back into my apartment, and getting ready to, basically, to get ready to get good work. And I ended up taking a lift car. This is the following morning after that night. This is in front of Sinai Hospital in downtown Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And so I took another lift car home, and so I just took some of the footage. That's a part of the, oh gosh, what is it? There's a little college that we are right next to. Not University of Wisconsin. It's a little college, but very nice. A lot of students are in that area. That's like apparently one of their athletic buildings. This is a big ass church at the end of the road. It's kind of like I can't remember. I want to say it's a Jesuit church. I'm not sure about that. Might be Lutheran. And this is Wisconsin Avenue, traveling towards the lake. I'm heading eastbound, and we're about to pick up a highway. And during this time, I've muted it, but you know, the Lyft driver and I were really quite in a chatty mood, and so we were talking about what I was doing in Phoenix and why did I move to Phoenix in the first place, and then why did I move away from Phoenix, and I told her all of my life story, which I'm sure she has devoted to memory by now. And then I thought that was a really pretty picture of the smokestacks. There are these two great, big, huge smokestacks, and they really, in the cold weather, to be quite honest, I find them kind of beautiful, even though they're probably just dumping all sorts of toxic chemicals. Although that's white, it probably is steam. And I want to say it's to a brewery, but that might be just an unfortunate stereotype because Milwaukee, supposedly everybody here, drink. Kitty cats, that's enough. Kitty cats, that's enough. Right? And so, oh, sorry, bang. Right, so this is Route 43. I'm heading south on Route 43 towards Bayview, which is where we live. My cat is just screaming in the background, so it sounds like I tie him up and hit him all the time, and I don't. This is closer. We've now gotten off the highway. This is approaching Bayview. I really was taken by how pretty the snow was on all the trees. It was a really very picturesque and wintry kind of scene, which was very interesting. And again, I'm talking the ears off of my Lyft driver. It pretty much, I'm really surprised and pleased at how well Milwaukee handles the snow. They have an awful lot of infrastructure, tons and tons of salt trucks, bulldozers, all the types of equipment, and all of the garbage trucks apparently can be equipped with snow plows. And so during really big snow events, the garbage trucks can be deployed as plows. And so pretty much within 24 hours, no matter how much snow comes down, as long as it stops, usually no matter how much snow comes down, within 12 hours, almost all of the main arteries are clear and much of the secondary roads are clear. The only time that we have problems is our alleyway, and now we've hired that guy to clean out the alleyway. So I'm really amazed. This is less than 24 hours after the snow started, and already much of the primary and secondary roads are clear. We are now entering into Bayview now. I am heading south on Kinnick, which is one of the main artery feeders from our neighborhood into town. Not too much to say about this section really, but I love our neighborhood. I mean, this spot here, this corner that we're sitting at in the car, is only about maybe a 10 or 15, maybe a 20-minute walk. I haven't made it down this far. I usually head the other way. It just has more stuff on there, more stores and restaurants that I like to go to. But all of Bayview, this whole area, very picturesque, kind of small. This is apparently this architecture is what people call Midwest architecture. But I've really gotten to love it. When I first saw the city, which was of all the years that we've been here, I did not look at it closely until we came in June or July of 2019, right? And that was when not 2019 of 2018, and so we spent some time really looking at the city, and I just fell in love with this neighborhood. I am probably going to stay in this neighborhood. I would like to stay pretty much almost on this very block. I love being able to walk down to my gym and it being maybe a 7 to 10 minute walk. In the summertime is just gorgeous because the sun sets in the summertime at 9:30 at night, as opposed to now when the sun sets at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But I've kind of gotten accustomed to it. I've even gotten accustomed to the extreme cold weather. I'm really amazed at how well I've adapted, considering I'm from Phoenix, and at one time neither of us owned any kind of winter coat. We ordered our winter coats off of Amazon. I need to get a new one because I've lost so much weight. Mine is just too big. It doesn't insulate properly. But it's very warm. But even in temperatures like today, I was out and about doing some errands, and it was I want to say it was 26 or 28. Fahrenheit, and I was not uncomfortable. I mean, I was able to get around. I didn't even feel the need to put my hood on my coat. I did have gloves on, and it was perfectly fine. There are a lot of things that they do here for extreme cold, but I think when it gets to be in the teens or lower, then it's more important to like keep your gas tanks full all the time, which I don't know. We're really bad at that. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, and all this stuff. But but it's pretty. Very pleased. I've been very pleased at how well I manage getting around without it being a bother. That's the school, St. Lucas School, which is right down the road from us. All these kids are there, and for about an hour every day of school, they block off this road, that section of road. You can't drive on it, and then they have the kids playing in the street, which is really, really weird that they have a school that is teaching these little kids. I'm guessing they're 10 years old or so. To play in the street. This is the beginning of a sequence where that night I was off, and so I decided to walk to Brickyard Gym, and so I just wanted to film what the walk was like at night. A lot of people are like, "Oh, that must be really scary. Aren't you scared walking?" Because they kind of know that I'm a bit Nelly as far as safety goes. I mean, I do tend to worry about safety. But, my neighborhood, even at night, I walked outside, walked around the block, even at 2 or 3 in the morning, and there's nothing going on that would scare me. But this is Dover. This is the street that I am on. That traffic light down there is the traffic light on Kinnick. That's that main artery I was talking about. And Kinnick, I would not walk up and down after like 2 a.m., right? Because it is more of an industrial business kind of place. But I have done it a couple of times. Again, nothing really big, nothing really major nasty going on. It's just, you do have cars driving by, and if you're seen, walking by yourself, I guess if somebody was looking for trouble, you'd be an easy target. And you're far enough away where, no one sitting in a house could hear you. So if all of these businesses are closed, that McDonald's, that will be the death of me yet. I ate McDonald's today, but I'm not going to feel guilty about it because I only took in 600 calories or 700 calories for all day yesterday. So I treated myself today to make sure my metabolism didn't shut down. But we're walking, south on Kinnick, 1 block, and then we're going to cross the street, and then about half a block, and then that's where Brickyard Gym is. And so it's very, very easy. The only thing that I really kind of don't love about Brickyard Gym is its hours. I really wish that it had later hours, maybe if it stayed open until 11, even 10, but really 11. It closes at 9. On Saturdays it closes at 5. On Sundays it closes at 4. And so it's very, very limited, especially on the weekends, and that can sometimes be hard for me to manage. But to be quite honest, I can afford a day off. I can take a Saturday or a Sunday off, and it fits in my rotation, and I don't really feel guilty. Sometimes I do feel guilty, but you have to take rest days. One thing about lifting weights is when you're older, your recovery is just not as fast. When I was in my 20s, recovery was pretty fast. Now that I'm older, and especially now that I'm, what's the word? Not really disciplined is not the word I'm looking for, but devoted to weightlifting and trying to see visible and measurable gains. Now I'm working out harder, and thus I get more sore easily, and so so I've got to kind of really be careful, make sure that I don't that I allow myself some rest periods. So, and my rule is that if I am sore, especially if it's a painful kind of soreness, then I just don't work out that day, and then it's been pretty good. And then I just try not to ever take 2 days off in a row. And so that gets me to the gym pretty often. We're in Brickyard Gym. Gosh, this is a scary thing too, isn't it? This looks like Hannibal Lecter's apartment here. But this is a very old building, 1920, 30 construction. I'm sure that is the original stairwell. And then we're going into Brickyard Gym. The entire gym floor area is on the second floor of this building. And I'm just signing in. We don't have any kind of card, no fancy cards to swipe or electronic key cards or anything like that. We just sign ourselves in. It's pretty much almost an honor system. In fact, today's the 11th. I owe them for a month. I owe them for the month of February. It was due on the 4th, so I'm going to do that tomorrow. I was going to tape into going into the locker room, but I thought that was inappropriate. There was somebody in there, so I didn't want to do it. If it was empty, I would have done it. Okay, so that was the snowstorm. It's been pretty good. I mean, there's still tons of snow outside in the yard, and my philosophy is that's just the way of life here. I mean, if you're really going to freak out every time it snows, I figured if I'm going to freak out every time it snows every winter, I'm going to be freaked out all the frickin' time. right? And so I've just decided not to allow myself to do that. Just, get up, get out in it. We have an ideal situation here because not only are things plowed pretty quickly, but let's say Dover or my alleyway is not plowed and I don't feel confident, I can either lift it out of here pretty easily, or to be quite honest, there's a bus. There's a city bus that meets at the end of Dover, right at that intersection on Dover and Kinnickinnick. There's a bus that picks up there, so I can get on a city bus and be at work. It's a 45-minute ordeal with one bus change. But, the buses always run. I mean, that's like, I would imagine that is the priority, is to make sure that the buses are able to run to keep the workers able to come in. And I ride the bus. I know Brent is just horrified that I ride the bus, but I kind of enjoy it. I mean, those are my peeps. Those are my patients, and so it's always like a little bit of I'm okay with the fact that, some of them can be socioeconomically challenged, I guess is the word I'll look for, but also an awful lot of mental illness too. Every trip, there's always somebody on that bus that is doing something kind of odd and, to be quite honest, somewhat interesting in a voyeuristic sort of way. So, I try not to, do too much traveling in scrubs. Usually I dress out and wear regular clothes and then dress out when I get to work. All right, so that's me wow, this is pretty good. I'm going to try to get this posted tonight, Tuesday night, before I go to work at 11. And then that'll be a record. I mean, that's like 2 videos within like 4 days. Who would do such a thing? And then tomorrow, I don't know when I'll post it, but tomorrow I'm making pancit. For the first time in like more than a decade since I've made pancit. Pancit is a native Filipino dish. It's basically stir-fried noodles and vegetables and some meat, and very traditional Filipino meal. And I have 2 new friends they're from North Dakota. Apparently in the entire state of North Dakota there's only like maybe 5 Asians. None of them Filipinos, and so they've never had pancit, never been exposed to Filipino cuisine. So I thought that's something that I could do. Lumpia, egg rolls, is a little bit of an advanced type. My sisters are watching, a little bit of an advanced topic for me still. So I'm not ready to do lumpia right now, so probably as my cooking skills, because I'm now trying to host more, trying to have friends in our home, not make our home such an isolated castle as it has been for 20 years. Try to really let some friends in, Brent's friends, my friends, trying to make friends and be friendly. Kind of sounds weird that that's a priority in our lives, but really, we need to be friendlier people and make our house a home and let people in it and to enjoy each other. So that's our priority. So I've got some friends coming over tomorrow for dinner, and we're going to do some kind of community kind of dinner. And then as far as the rest of the week, nothing too much. I'm then after that working my normal work schedule, Fridays and Saturday nights, and then we start a new week. All right, so I'm hoping that everybody's doing really well, and I shall see you now. Now I'm going to do this big thing that everybody does on YouTube to close a video. I think it is so cool. There are 2 things. There's one thing where they take their hand and they kind of put the hand up in front of the lens, but I think that would be somewhat off-putting. I'm not going to do that. But then I'm going to do what Jeff Nippard, he's a YouTuber that I watch, Jeff Nippard, Nippard. If you are into weightlifting and you want a scientist's view on weightlifting and the weightlifting articles and the literature, science-based, evidence-based literature, then Jeff Nippard on YouTube is the guy you want to watch. He does an awful lot of YouTubes, comes out with like 1 or 2 a week, and many of them are evidence-based, reviews of evidence-based articles on weightlifting, bodybuilding, and training, and nutrition. And so, I mean, he's just a wealth of information. You could go back. I still haven't seen every single video he's done, but he is really, he sounds intelligent. He is intelligent, I'm sure. And the way that he produces his videos, I do not know if he has a production team. I haven't figured that out. But he has very high-quality videos with an awful lot of B-roll, an awful lot of commentary, and he does cut-ins with these articles, and I'm just amazed at the quality of and the intelligence of and the scientific inquiry involved in his video making. So that's Jeff Nippard on YouTube. Jeffrey Nippard? Jeff Nippard. If you look up Nippard, Nippard, you're going to pull him up. Okay, that's all I have. Now I'm going to clap my hands, and that'll be the end of the video. So I'll see you in a couple of days.